Good evening. Welcome to the Board Mayor Aldermen Workshop. It is January 5th at 6:30. Call this workshop to order. We're going to do a roll call of those participating on the teleconference. I will call the names of the members, and if you are on the conference call, please signify by stating present. Vice Mayor Brown. Alderman Coates.
Present.
Alderman No. Alderman Waldron.
Present.
We have 3 present for the workshop. Just a few housekeeping issues before we continue. We need to document that we are conducting this workshop by electronic means due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and it is necessary to protect the public health, safety, and welfare of the citizens and city employees and elected officials from possible exposure to this virus. The workshop was advertised in the Murfreesboro Post on Tuesday, December 29th, 2020. The agenda was posted on the city's website on Thursday, December 31st, 2020, and the workshop packets were distributed electronically to the board members on that same day. This workshop is being live streamed on Vergne Channel 3 and the city's YouTube channel. The video will be posted on YouTube after the conclusion of the workshop. I would like to ask all board members to be courteous and not interrupt each other when speaking. If you need to speak, please ask to be recognized by me. After the caption is read for each item, I will briefly explain the item, then ask if there is any discussion or questions. Please mute your phone or computer if you are not speaking. Please silence your cell phones and eliminate as much background noise as possible. That being said, are there any questions from the board members before we proceed? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and proceed to the agenda. The prayer on Thursday night will be by Alderman No. The Pledge of Allegiance will be by myself. You should all have a copy of the minutes from the December 3rd, 2020 regular meeting. Department reports. There will not be any reports given this month, but all the information will be in your packets. Old business, second reading ordinance 2020-24, an ordinance to amend Title 1, Chapter 1, Section 1-105 of the Laverne Municipal Code regarding dates of elections. This is second reading. We discussed it last month. This is essentially updating the when there will be future swearing-ins for elected officials, and it will set, and that was primarily due to the making sure we get the accurate results from the Election Commission. Is there any questions about that? Seeing none, next we have the consent agenda. First is approved city bids and purchases. First one is the bid ballistic vests for the police department. And let me hop over to that. This is a 3-year bid for the ballistic vests. These vests will be used as replacements and for new officers as needed. The vests are part of the officer's uniform and provide protection from weapons. The city received 3 bids for this vest, and the staff recommends that we award the bid to GT Distributors. And their bid was $1,163.63. Is there any questions? Moving on to B, water maintenance supplies. This is a 3-year bid for maintenance supplies for the water department. There are various repairs that occur throughout the year and several special projects that the department would like to undertake to replace some of the water lines that are breaking on a regular basis. The staff recommends approval of the 3-year bid, and the bid results are, hop down here. Bruce, I don't see in here who it was recommended. Oh, it was Fortaline.
Borderline, yes.
My apologies, didn't scroll far enough down. Is there any questions? Seeing none, move on to stormwater contract purchase. This is for a new 304 E2 mini hydraulic excavator for the stormwater department. This was approved in the budget amendment for purchase at the December meeting. The cost is $71,620.47, and the budgeted amount was $75,000. Any questions? Moving on to number 4, state contract purchase, patrol vehicles for the police department. And this is to purchase 5 new police patrol vehicles for the police department using the state contract with Wilson County Motors. Each vehicle is $37,986. This will be kind of a combination. 3 of the vehicles will be purchased from the police impact fees, and then 2 vehicles will be from the general fund. Total purchase is $189,930. Any questions? Moving on to number 5, state contract purchase replacement patrol vehicle for the police department. And this is a K9 Tahoe. The insurance company from the totaled vehicle came back at $38,766.67. The total cost of a new vehicle without equipment is $37,986. We are estimating that the total cost of the replacement vehicle with equipment will be $51,686. So basically, the insurance proceeds are that $38,000, and the new vehicle is $37,000. There is a budget amendment on this agenda for an additional $12,919. That will be needed for the additional equipment for this. Is there any questions? Okay, and then moving on to 6, Sourcewell contract purchase. This is a leaf vacuum for the stormwater department, and stormwater is in need of a leaf vacuum for the department's new leaf collection program that was approved at last year's budget and planning retreat. This was budgeted in the stormwater department at $100,000. The cost is actually $83,516.68. So staff recommends purchasing that through the Sourcewell contract. Any questions? Seeing none. Moving on to B, approved professional services contract with Croft and Associates for land acquisition services related to the sewer interceptor project. If approved, Croft and Associates will provide professional land acquisition services to include market analysis, negotiation, deed and title research, and closing for easements necessary to construct the 2019-2020 sewer interceptor improvements. This is for the middle and upper and Waldron portions of the Hurricane Creek interceptor. This contract shall not exceed $125,000. Is there any questions on this? Moving on to C, approve amendment number 1 to the 2020 league facility user agreement with the Tennessee Strikers softball and baseball. A request has been made from the Tennessee Strikers to amend the 2020 user agreement by reducing the field maintenance costs from $8,000 to $2,000. And that's primarily due to the impact with the coronavirus. The spring session was canceled. The fall league was still very limited, and so they are asking for that reduction. Any questions? Okay, moving on to D, approve a 3-year league facility user agreement with the Tennessee Strikers softball and baseball. This is a 3-year agreement with the Tennessee Strikers, who we've been working with either 2 or 3 years now. And they're proposing to pay $10,000 annually for upgrades at Veterans Memorial Park. The agreement also includes another $4,000 annual payment for maintenance costs. And the city would lower the fees for field use to $50 per field per day for tournaments. This would require a municipal code amendment, which is also on the agenda. But staff does recommend that we do this. I know I spoke with David for a while today. From what he said, and Evan, I don't know if you've had a chance to review this, but this is pretty close to our standard contract with them.
Yeah, Mayor, I have not, but I don't doubt that, and I'll certainly review that before the meeting.
Okay. Any questions? Okay. Moving on to E. Approve grant contract with the State of Tennessee, Office of the Secretary of State, Tennessee State Library and Archives for the provision of addressing digital inclusion and efforts to prevent, prepare for, and respond to COVID-19 in public libraries. The city was awarded a $750 grant from the State Libraries and Archives for COVID-19 items needed to operate the library safely. This grant must be approved in order to receive those funds. So this is basically it's $750, and it's 100% there for that grant. Any questions? Moving on to new business. First reading ordinance 2021-01, an ordinance to amend the fiscal year 2020-2021 general fund budget. This is for the K9 Tahoe that we discussed earlier. Is there any questions about that? Seeing none, moving on to first reading ordinance 2021-02, an ordinance to amend Title 20, Chapter 2, Section 20-208 of the Laverne Municipal Code regarding parks and recreation user fees. And this also was just discussed with the consent agenda. Is there any questions? Seeing none, we're going to move on to Resolution 2021-01, a resolution of the City of Laverne Board of Mayor and Aldermen to declare property owned by the city to be surplus to the city's needs and directing disposal of the same. And let me hop over to this. This is looks like a couple different items. There's a motorcycle in here, a Suzuki, and it's 2000 Suzuki motorcycle. And that was seized with a drug seizure. Any questions? Moving on to appoint or remove board and committee members. We have Beer Board, one term expired on December 31st, 2020. That is Dana Blair, and he does wish to stay on the board. Next, we have Construction Board of Adjustment and Appeals. David Schock no longer lives in Laverne. Appears he moved to Murfreesboro, so he is no longer able to serve on that board. And we've not received any applications, so that's being advertised on Channel 3 and on Facebook. Economic Development Advisory Committee. We have one vacancy and currently do not have any applicants. That is being advertised on Channel 3 and on Facebook. Greenway Advisory Committee. We have one term that expired on December 31st, 2020. It's Carissa Benton. She does wish to remain on this board. Next, the Historical Preservation Advisory Committee. The term for Nicole Kim has expired at the end of December, and she does not wish to stay on this board. So this will be advertised on Channel 3 and on Facebook. If we do not have any applications by 12 p.m. noon on Thursday, this will be removed from the agenda. Library Board, we have 2 terms that expired on the 31st of December. Brianna King and Kamisha Sadler both do wish to stay on that board, and we have no other applicants at this time. The Local Emergency Planning Committee, we have 6 terms that expired. Let's see here. We have 1 vacancy on the committee, which is the police department. That is going to stay vacant until the police chief position is permanently filled. There's also 5 terms that expired at the end of December. We've reached out to Chris Clark and Laura Davidson. They do wish to remain on this committee. Christopher Cunningham was just appointed in November, so we should be able to reappoint him to this committee. And then we're working to find a new representative for the Red Cross. We should have that by Thursday's meeting. Also, Price Justice no longer works for the Rutherford County Ambulance Service, so Chris Clark has recommended that the city appoint Steve Pope for this position. Any questions on that? I know that was a lot all at once. Planning Commission, we have 2 terms that are expiring. Diane Sanders and John Rutledge both do wish to remain on the Planning Commission. And as a reminder, I make all appointments to the Planning Commission except for the alderman position. Then we have the Stormwater Appeals and Advisory Board. We have 2 terms that expired at the end of December. We have Wade Deaver and Mary Jane Skinner. Both do wish to remain on this board. Moving on now to number 9. Motion to authorize the city attorney to file a lawsuit to enforce a codes violation. Evan, do you want to take that?
Sure, Mayor, thank you. So from time to time, some of you may recall that there are certain codes issues that occur in the city where city staff and codes officials have made every effort that they can make at the city level in order to enforce the codes and to compel compliance with the codes. There are from time to time instances where property owners just simply refuse to comply. That's happened in the past and it's ongoing right now. So what is before you, I apologize, I don't have the specific file in front of me with respect to this property, but what this motion would do would be to authorize the city to file suit in state court to enforce the city codes, which we've done in the past. And what that allows the city to do is to get a state court order requiring compliance. The penalty for not complying with a state court order to comply with codes is jail. So that certainly becomes an incentive with respect to enforcing the codes action. And again, the city typically tries to exhaust every remedy at its disposal before reaching this point. But with respect to this particular point, we have reached it.
Does anyone have any questions? Thank you, Evan. Seeing none, we're going to move on to number 10, Resolution 2021-02, a resolution to authorize the mayor to direct the city attorney to pursue enforcement of the city's municipal ordinances, codes, rules, and regulations. Let me hop over to that. And this is, I know over the last 2 years, we've brought several of these before the board. This would just essentially make it so that anytime we have these cases, similar to codes cases, where we have non-compliance, rather than bring it before this board every time, it could simply go on with my approval to our city attorney to take through the Rutherford County courts. Does anyone have any questions?
And Mayor, I'll just add also to that. One of the other theories behind this proposed policy is that there are certainly times when you may have a codes issue that is a serious health, safety, and life issue that really would make it burdensome to have to wait 30 days or however long to get back to city council, and that may require the city to take state court action before the next meeting. And so that's another reason behind you granting the mayor the authority to direct me to pursue that, if in the mayor's opinion it needs to be done, sooner.
Does anyone have any questions?
Question for Evan. Evan, before this moves forward, has everything been gone through to ensure everything's been done correctly from the city standpoint?
Well, that's right, Alderman. So by the time it reaches my desk, what typically, this may not be the case every single time, but from my experience, by the time it reaches my desk, it's been to city court. They have obtained a judgment against these people for violation of codes, and the most that the city court can do is issue a $50 fine. And with respect to some people, that just doesn't appear to get their attention.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you. Moving on to number 11, discussion retirement program. We had a special meeting, or I'm sorry, a special workshop last month, and we discussed TCRS, and we also sent out a poll, a survey to all city employees. As of the responses, we had about 117. You can see in your packets all the different responses to each question, a little bit of clarification to help with some of the questions in red. And then, of course, we have staff recommendations. At this time, staff doesn't have a specific recommendation regarding the direction the board should go. But we do, there are three possible ones. First one is gather more information about both TCRS and ICMA. It's possible that the ICMA retirement program could be enhanced. We would need to talk to them and see what improvements could be made. The second one is the board could go ahead and request an actuarial study with TCRS to look at purchasing years back for employees. The study would take at least 6 months, and implementation of the program would be delayed for approximately a year. This would take approval of a resolution, and differing options would have to be stated in that resolution. The last one is the board could go ahead and decide to move forward with TCRS without buying back years of employment. The implementation of the plan would be fairly quick, possibly as soon as April of 2021, so this year. This would take approval of a resolution, and differing options that would have to be stated in that resolution. I can state that, speaking for myself, I know I have been heavily lobbied by city employees about TCRS and moving over to it. Specifically, I know police and fire have sent representatives to speak with me about it, and that's even how we got to this point of having it as another discussion item. So I'll open it up. Does anyone have any thoughts on that?
What I've looked at it's something like the state's got, like guaranteed income. It's not like we got now that the money will fluctuate with the stock market. I think it's just going to be somewhere good for the employees. There's so many options. What concerns me is this may be expensive for the employees that's been here a long time. That's one concern I've had just looking over what I've looked at so far. But I like the reason why it moves the employees out of the stock market up and down. That's good. And it kind of puts us more into the line of what the state is working on. More information might need to be studied. I kind of got a feeling that most employees really don't understand it 100%, because it is kind of confusing and complex. That's my opinion on it. Thank you.
Alderman Coates?
Yeah, it's a lot of data to understand this, and just by reading what's been put out, I think some more additional work needs to be researched and some more opinions gathered before we start moving forward. But I think just it spends more time on looking at other options and the options in front of us.
Alderman No. I don't think he's still on the call. Vice Mayor Brown, are you with us at all? Okay, well, I've heard both aldermen say that a little bit more information. Let me dig a little bit deeper just so that staff kind of knows how to look at this. What information are you looking for?
To me, I want more information in depth if, what it's gonna cost the long-term employees, and explore the more options. Some of this so far I really like, but I have some questions of, I'm concerned about the things that I really don't, know a whole lot about, which I went in on the first, study last year. This has kind of been the first few days I've seen this, but, one part of it I like, it's kind of gets the employees out, like we had the 401, 457 deal, and your money, went up and down the stock market. I kind of like getting them out of that deal. I know the police and the fire has really been lobbying for it because, I think we have probably lost a couple employees over the years that they went to other, municipalities because they had a different deal. And, but I think what I've seen so far, the people that's gonna be the hardest hit is gonna be the long-term employees. But, I think it's just need to be more of a study to see where that is gonna be affected. Thank you.
Mayor Cole, my standpoint, the cost is the concern, not only to the employees, but to the city as well. So we need to do some more studies as far as the costing.
Well, part of that, and this is one of the things that is for the board to decide, is the cost depends on the option that we go with. If we decide to buy back years, then that will increase the cost, and we would have to do a study for that. If we decide not to buy back years, everyone would start off at the same level day one. And so you've got plus and minuses. I know some people are concerned about losing the 4.5%. That's been some people's big questions. Others not so much concerned with that. Each person's kind of different based on where their situation is. So to kind of whittle down what the cost would be, we would need to determine if we are looking at buying back years or if we're looking at giving everybody a blank slate going forward.
If you, buy back, if you go a clean slate, the long-term employees, they're definitely gonna lose. I think either way we go, it's gonna be a win or lose situation. Somebody's gonna come up with the short end of the stick. And, we just need to make the employees aware, and let the ones that know that's gonna benefit more than others, and especially the long-term ones, they're gonna cost the money. I don't think the people 100% understand the entirety of this deal. I know I've just been looking at just for a few days, and I hadn't had some of the options that some of y'all had that studied it back last year. But I think it's, something we don't need to jump into, too quickly. Thank you.
The special meeting that we had, the special workshop that we had on this, was just a few weeks back, and our city administrator sent everyone the presentation that was provided during that meeting. And I believe, Bruce, was that meeting, was it recorded? Or was that workshop
Yes,
recorded?
Yes, sir. I believe we did record that workshop. And of course, the same information that was presented to the board was also made available to all of the employees.
Okay.
So they have the same information that the city council had.
Okay. So
But
everyone,
still, I think it's, even with all that said, I'm sure it's a lot of employees out there that's not 100% aware of exactly what's going on. I think, I think if you talk to the ones, if you explain to the ones that've been here a long time, it's gonna cost them money, they might have a different outlook on it than the employees that's just coming in, that ain't got nothing on the table to lose. I think it needs to be explained, better, and, I just don't think it's something we need to jump into and just move forward with it and let the chips fall as it may, because you're gonna have some employees that's gonna lose and some it's gonna benefit, and some it's not really gonna, affect. So, it's, that's my opinion, and thank you.
Bruce, when it comes to long-term employees, until we know which way we're going to go as far as whether we're buying back years, we're not buying back years, whether we're expanding, looking at more options with ICMA, we don't really know at this point whether it's going to adversely affect anyone. Is that correct?
Correct. Until we know what options we want to do an actuarial study on, if the city wants to buy back 5 years, 10 years or more, we have to do that study to determine what number one, the cost to the city is going to be, but also the cost to the employee, because there's two parts to that. Yes, the longer you're here, the less likely you will be to benefit from the TCRS, because you don't have as many years left to work and gain those years of service. But on the other hand, the existing employees, they're already getting retirement through ICMA. So the city has provided them with retirement benefits for however long they have been involved in the program. Now, it's just not a defined benefit program compared to the TCRS. So we can certainly get more information from the TCRS representative, and any employees that have any questions, we certainly be happy to pass that along and get more clarification, more information. But also, the employees, if they don't feel that they would benefit by switching over to TCRS, they can opt out, and they can stay with ICMA and continue doing what they're doing. Now, that being said, in order to make it fair, like if the board decides to go with TCRS and the amount of the contribution has to go up for those new employees, I personally think it's more fair to also increase that same percentage for those that might stay in ICMA. But that's just my opinion. The board can do it either way they want to. There's lots of options left that we can still look at, especially with ICMA. We know pretty much what TCRS is going to do, or what it's going to be, rather. The only thing we don't know about TCRS is the cost if we buy back years. So that's where the catch is right now.
And this is looking even
We
beyond
got
the.
three board members. It's, the other two board members hadn't spoken about it. I think that's, I'd really like to hear their two opinions too, but like I say, the third option moving forward now, I'm against it. Option A and B are more options and more study. I could go with that. I couldn't see me supporting just going on and moving forward with it, without the A and B being into it. Thank you.
Well, at this point, I've gotten a text message. Alderman No is on the call, but his microphone is not working. So he is listening but not able to speak. So he is chiming in, he is listening in on this discussion. I would say at our meeting Thursday, we can decide what, if anything, to do. And again, some of the options, but it's not limited to. We can and have some discussions with the ICMA, see what improvements they can make. Then you can also look at an actuarial study determining whether we want to buy back years, and if so, how much. And then of course, another option is to start everyone fresh at TCRS, unless, of course, they choose to opt out, and then they would remain with the ICMA. I would like to remind the board, this isn't just about retirement. This, as we discussed at the special meeting a few weeks ago, is also about retention and recruitment. We lose a lot of employees to surrounding communities, including Nashville and Rutherford County, as they have TCRS, and they're able to take those years that they're already vested in it, regardless whether they go from one agency to another. If it's TCRS, they can carry that with them. And that's one of the major reasons we lose employees. So that's one of the reasons why both groups for the police department and the fire department came wanting this to be discussed. And I would say any city employees that are watching this, whether you're supportive of this or you're not, reach out to the board members. You've got our phone numbers and our emails. Send us some messages or give us a phone call to let us know what your thoughts are on this, so that we have better direction how to go for that. Any other questions or comments about this?
The only other one I got is something important with this deal we got with having our workshop, and we'll probably have this meeting Thursday on like we're doing now. And how many of us is going to not be able to talk then? I'm in favor of doing something, but it's I think we must just need to do more in-depth study on it. It's like the police and the fire, it's going to probably benefit them the most, but the ones that's going to probably come up with short end of the stick is going to be the long-term employees. But it's just what I'm hearing so far. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to mayor and alderman comments. Alderman Waldron.
I really don't have anything. The way that the holidays and the COVID-19 is, but I hope everybody had a good holiday, and we got 2020 behind us. But 2021 is we're going to drag a lot of the issues we got into 2021, and I hope everybody does well and stays safe. And I appreciate everybody, and thank you.
Alderman Coates.
I'd just like to request the citizens listening to this that we have some boards are available for citizens to participate in. I would encourage them to contact Bruce Richardson to put the name in the hat.
Thank you, sir. Alderman No, are you able to speak yet? That'll be a no. And Vice Mayor Brown, have you joined us? Not seeing her. Do want to give everyone an update. Rutherford County is currently doing the A1A population for COVID vaccines. I believe as of this afternoon, we're about 15% of the population being vaccinated, which is a big improvement. We've got, that has been moved from Siegel over to State Farm, and things have been going there as far as getting people through that process very well from what our EMA director, Chris Clark, has said. So I'm very happy with that. And all of the municipalities in Rutherford County are all pulling together on this and working to help our residents as best we can. So please bear with everybody. Please be sure to check out the Rutherford County Health Department. They have a timeline for all residents for vaccinations and how to get on waiting lists, how 75 plus community can sign up and get scheduled for their vaccination. So please make sure that you're aware of that. And I'll remind everyone as well, please make sure you're social distancing, CDC guidelines with washing your hands, not your hair. Of course, we still have the mask mandate, so whenever you're out, please make sure you're wearing your mask and staying safe. Hope everyone had a wonderful Christmas, a happy New Year, and hopefully we will build upon the successes of 2020 and move forward to make 2021 even better, more better than 2020 was. I know that's not very high bar, but we can definitely move forward and get everyone there. So with that, I call this meeting adjourned.